study. So my name is Shih-Wen Su. I'm from Taiwan. I graduated from National Shih-Wen University, Computer Science. And my first job after military service is Train Micro. And after that, I came to Japan, joined a startup called Cappy. Cappy is also a cybersecurity startup. In Cappy, we built novel CAPTCHA. Do you know CAPTCHA? When you log into a system or you submit a comment, then the system will ask you to figure out some text. But we build something more semantic. It's, for example, there's two pictures, and there's a human, there's a hat. So you need to move the hat to the head of the human. So it's more semantic. It's harder for the OCR or others technology to crack that CAPTCHA. And after that, I joined Caulis. I will introduce Caulis later. And my hobbies, mountain climbing, reading, and I watch a lot of YouTube. Okay, so for Caulis, it's founded in 2015. It's founded by Atsuyoshi Shimatsu in December when he see the climbing cyber threats in Japan. And in 2017, between 2016 and 17, we launched our first product. It's called Fraud Alert. So I will share what is Fraud Alert. Basically, it's a risk-based authentication platform. And then 2020, this year, right now we are a B2B company, but we protect our clients and users. So as a total, our end users right now is around 10 million monthly active users. So most of the clients are in Japan, some of them in Singapore. So what kind of problems we're solving as a startup? We don't focus on the broad ends, all of the problems in cybersecurity. We focus on very specific domain of the cybersecurity, which is identity fraud. So for what is identity fraud? So we focus on online identity fraud. So online identity is you say you are Bruce Willis, but can the system really detect you are Bruce Willis or not? And so I say I am Shih-Wen Su to log into a system. Is that real me or not? So currently the industry usually use three methods. One is what you know. For example, it's a password. Password, only you know the password. And what you have. For example, I have my phone number. So if you put a message to this phone number, then I can receive it. And the third one is who you are. Who you are, for example, is biometrics. It can be genetic traits, iris, fingerprints, and it can be behavioral. For example, using your voice, your behavior, your walking style, and the way you talk. All of these is who you are. So a lot of company right now is also focusing on passwordless. They use biometrics methods. There are also standards like 502. They use these standards to get rid of password. But still, right now, the most logging to identify user, the way is still using password. And if you notice website, Haivan.com, you can see they're collectively around 9.5 billion accounts has been compromised many different ways in different websites all over the world. So it's actually more than the human population. So there are different kinds of reasons the account password get compromised. But based on these data, right now the list-based attacks, all the passwords that most people use, these passwords, it's is widely shared among hackers, so they can easily use these passwords to try to log in different systems. So for all the system owners, if the user presents you the correct account and password, it's no longer enough right now. So we shouldn't trust this login even if they have the correct account password, because it has been compromised. And how does Caulis solve this problem? So we have this product called Fraud Alert. Basically, we provide a system when the user use different kinds of devices that logs into an online service provider, for example, online banking. And in real time, we gather all the informations, for example, the IP address, the browser, device, the language, all of these, around 200 parameters. And in real time, we do all the checks, around 50 checks, and we tell for example, online banking, is this user a real user, or this user is a suspicious user? So if it's a suspicious user, we will suggest them to challenge this end user again. For example, using a one-time password or sending an email to further challenge this user. So this is the big idea of our product. And there are different things we do in this system. So overall, this system is risk-based authentication. What is risk-based? Risk-based is, for example, we just talked about account password. Account password is a fact. It's just one fact. But risk-based is we collect multiple facts. This user, for example, I am using MacBook, I'm using Chrome, I log in from Tokyo, I'm using English as my language in browser. All these are the facts around this person. So risk-based is not based on a single fact, but it's based on multiple facts to reduce the risk of identity theft. And also we do the source analysis. For example, this user is coming from a Tor network. Is it coming from a programmatic login? Or is it hiding behind a VPN? Or anything else is not normal user will use. And second, when the company use our product, we will help them to do analysis. We like to use a decision tree. The reason is because we don't use black box machine learning techniques, because we need to explain to our clients why we blocked their end user. And our clients, online bankings, they also need to explain to the end user under what situation they might got blocked. So we use all the explainable AI. And from there, we can create different rules, and also banks or some different clients, they have different business ways of doing business. For example, one of the clients will only launch a service in certain area in Japan. So, for example, the access from China, from Vietnam, this access for them is actually suspicious for them. So in this, we can put it into the role-based detection. And the third one is behavioral-based. So it's by each account. So like I said, I'm using Chrome, I'm using these traits. So if one day my account has been logged in by someone from India and using an Android phone, which I don't use, that will be considered one alert. So we actually, this system is based on multiple facts. So we will have multiple alerts. If several alerts have a flag, then we will notify the bank that this login actually very suspicious. And all of this is also based on the terminal identifier, because we know the user might use different devices. So things we do, for example, the very basic one is using cookie to understand, okay, this user is logging to different bank accounts from the same terminal. But also we use browser fingerprinting and device fingerprinting to understand the attributes of the device. And so what we do from differently from other risk-based authentication system is we are totally cloud-based. So we are SaaS model, and there's no initial cost for the banks. They're very easy to introduce our service. So also they only need to put a line of JavaScript inside the browser. Also from the backend, they use our API. For the application, they use our SDK. So very easy to integrate. No need to purchase a physical system. And then our service is cross devices, as I said. And one way we help these clients is to be called collective intelligence. So you may have experienced this risk-based authentication when you use Google or Facebook. If you use a new device, they will ask you, is this you? Are you using a new device? That's because they have enough end users. But many of our clients, they don't have so many end users. So these clients, these companies, they actually need to work together. In business, they might be competitors, but in front of cybersecurity, they need to work together because the hackers will always seek for the weakest companies or system to attack. If they try to attack, they might attack these banks on Monday, but they will try to attack another bank next week. So what we do is we can share, these clients, they can share the blacklist and whitelist if they found some threats inside their system or they have some money stolen or illegal money transfer. So they can put the blacklist into our system and other clients can be secured. And the next one is what I said before, is easily customized by each client. And after introduce our service, one of the bank in Japan, they found they reduced the 90% of illegal money transfer. Another bank in Japan, they found 200 money laundering accounts in 1 month after we introduced our service. Not just our service, but also they have other source of information. But collectively, they found 200 money laundering accounts in their system. And one of the telecoms that introduced our system, they reduced almost 98% of the two-factor authentication because actually most of the people, when they're logging, they're normal users. So you don't need to always ask your user to use second-factor authentication. But only the 2% of the people are considered more suspicious. So only these 2% of people, they need to go through the second-factor authentication. And this year we started to work with Accuris. Accuris is one of the largest risk data provider. So they provide, for example, like PEPs, political backgrounds, people, this kind of data, and compromised financial data, compromised identities. So if you're a company that needs to know if a user logs in or registered, and this person is actually a political, very important person, or this account has been compromised, and we use their service to collect together this data and provide this service. And the last one is one case study. This is recently shared by the Keisatsu Show, the National Police Agency of Japan. You can see here 2016 and to 2019. The lighter one is the account has been hacked using one-time password, and this is the darker one is the account being hacked as not using one-time password. This is what we understand, the normal case, if you use one-time password, the account's not being hacked so much. But in that sphere, what we see very differently. The light one is much larger than the dark one. That means even the user is using one-time password, they are actually more easier to get hacked. But why is the data looks like this? And one of the biggest reasons we found, we used Bitflyer for example, it's one of our clients, and you can see one of these is a phishing site. But the user, if you get email, it's very hard for the user to actually tell which one is the one that showed up, the official login site, or is a phishing site. So when the user logs in, the data is not the previous data is not from Bitfire. I'm using this as an example. When the user logs in through his account password and logs in, and then it's actually a phishing site and built by a hacker. And you give, for example, this is a phishing site, this is a real site. So the hacker will use your account and password and log into the real site. And at this time, if you have set a one-time password, the real site will send you a message, okay, this is your one-time password. And at this moment, you will input your one-time password into the phishing site again, because you trust this phishing site is the real site. So at this time, the hacker will get your original account password and also the one-time password. By using this, they can log into your real accounts. So this is usually from the case we found is usually they're from overseas or they're hiding behind a VPN, for example, pure VPN. So actually, we don't think our solution is better than two-factor authentication, but we think our solution is a very good combination with two-factor authentication. Because at this time, actually the system knows, okay, this user is actually logging from different source of the user usually logs in. Then the system will know, okay, this is actually a hacker that got the account password and one password. So we see our solution and the second factor authentication is a good collaboration. Yeah. So that's my sharing today. Is there any questions?